So I am sorry that I cut the other tutorial short. The reason I had to do that was because they were cutting my grass and they were being extremely loud. I tried to record this a bit earlier in the day and they were still being loud, and I found myself yelling almost. So I didn't want you guys to have a nasty experience with the second part of the tutorial. Um, but what I did was, I'm gonna explain to you guys what I did when I stopped recording the second part earlier today. Is here I added a few edge loops that you can see here. I added three here, three here, three here. I did that all the way around, and then I smoothed this out to make sure that it looked just like this. The way I smoothed it out is once I added the edge loops that I needed, I pressed mesh smooth and I got this result. So let's continue. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna finish this section and then jump into the clock, and then we'll get to the editing in Photoshop and then exporting everything out so we can create this in 3D. The next thing I want to continue on is this piece here. I am going to take face before I do anything else because earlier I noticed this. I'm going to take this and I'm going to push it as close as I can here. Vertex, I'm going to try to smooth this out a bit over. The reason I'm doing this is, like I said, I tried to record part 2 earlier and I found myself yelling a little bit. And I noticed that this was too far from the pole that I'm going to create here, and it looked weird. We don't want nothing looking weird. So let's do the same with this. I'm going to push and select all these vertices, and I'm going to push it as much as I can there, and I'm going to push this back a bit and this one a little bit more so I can get a little bit of a curve here, and I'm happy with that. I'm going to Command S this. Guys, the most important thing that you have to remember is that sometimes the reference has angles and other things that affects the design. For example, you see this big piece here? We're not going to worry about that. We're trying to get the basic gist of the design. Most clients will understand this because they know that the pictures aren't perfect unless they provided you with a perfect reference image and you deviate from that, then that's a different story. But if this is what they give you, then they're gonna have to understand that certain things, especially in this area, you're gonna have to eyeball and adjust. So the way we're gonna do this is, you see that we have this squared piece, like you can move it with a wrench, but this is a pole. We're gonna do that from one single piece, and I'm gonna show you how. We're gonna take this polygon cylinder, we're gonna move it up here, we're gonna give it 8 sides before we scale it down. I suggest that you always do this. Always get pick the size that you want before you scale it, because sometimes it gives you problems and it'll distort your geometry. We do not want that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring this down to about 8, which I'm happy with. I'm gonna move it to the middle here, and I'm gonna press R. I'm gonna drag it down to about there. Yep, I'm happy with that. Whoa. Yep, I'm happy with that. I'm gonna bring it down to about here. I'm gonna right click, select vertices. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna push it here. There's a reason that I'm doing this, because you see it comes up and then up again. I'm gonna show you what I mean. Object mode. I'm gonna come to my perspective and press F. I'm gonna select these faces. Face. So what I'm gonna do is, I usually do this, shift, click and drag to keep just the top, everything else is deselected. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hold down shift, click and drag, and I'm gonna press R, and I'm gonna shrink it a bit to about there. I'm gonna press R, shift, click and drag again and make this a bit smaller. And then I'm gonna press W, shift, click and drag and push this all the way up. If for some reason it's too thick, you can go back, and what you can do is just press R make it a bit smaller. If you're being a bit nitpicky like I am, press W, shift click and drag and test it. I think I'm happy with that. So anyway, let's see what we get. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So I'm gonna push it all the way through here, right? Now, this is still not touching. So let's bring this, let me see from the top what I'm looking at here. So if we look at it from the top, we can see that we're not in the middle of this. However, if I push it over here, it's too much. So I'm not gonna worry about that right now because it's falling into sequence here. So right now I'm not gonna worry about that. However, I am gonna push this. See, it's still not touching. I want it to touch because we're not gonna create the weld piece for now. We could do that in a ZBrush, but I don't want to deal with that right now. I'm just, again, always trying to get you guys feet wet with Maya. For those who are struggling with 3ds Max, you'll see that what I'm doing is gonna save you a lot of work. Again, don't worry about this being a little off from the reference. We're happy with that. I'm gonna press Command S. So with this piece, I killed 2 birds with 1 stone. What do I mean? Okay, object mode, right? This section inside is gonna be round. However, this section outside is not. So what we're gonna do is Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop, and I already have it at 1, and this is gonna put an equal multiplier. So let's put 1 in between each. 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here. We should have 1 more to go. Yep, right here. So now that we have that, we're gonna take object mode, Q, W, edge, double click this edge, and this is why I did this a little indented. Shift right click, and I'm gonna circularize those components. Beautiful. So we killed 2 birds with 1 stone. We still have our piece where we can put a wrench and move it, and we still have the pole. What we're gonna have to do is split these, and I'm gonna tell you why. If I double these edges, then let me see. Let's see if that's true or not, guys. Hold on. And then I'll show you why I usually split them, but let's see if we don't have to. So let's take these double edge, double edge, double edge. I'm shift double clicking, guys, like I always do to select and add edges to the edges I've already selected. Shift double click, shift double click, shift double click. This is weird. It's being antisocial. Okay, I know why that is. Okay, because I added the edge loops. Don't worry about that. I'll show you how to fix that later. So first, to test out my theory, shift right click, bevel edge. Oops, I missed one here. Shift, let me double check now. Yeah, everything's selected. So shift right click, bevel that edge. We're gonna add, remember, if this is full, it's gonna go too fast. So let's Pac-Man this. And let's add 1 more segment to make sure that that's tough. Let's make it a little bit tighter, not too much. Now what we're gonna try to do is see if my theory here works. I'm gonna try to again circularize this extra stuff and circularize at the top. Why? Because this here is not perfectly smooth. The way we're gonna get this is gonna click it, Command 1. We're gonna click all these edges. So we have all of those selected, and now we're gonna go to the edge here. It should select them all. So shift double click and circularize components, and let's see what we get. Beautiful, guys. So here we go. We didn't even have to separate it. We have 1 big piece of geometry that goes from this tough hexagonal wrench piece to a nice tube. We're gonna have to do a few things in a minute, but I'll show you what to do. You can't have just a line here with a vertex and not connect it to anything. We're gonna have problems with this geometry, so I'm gonna show you how to fix it. So now we're gonna take, I'm gonna go to object mode. I'm gonna select face and then shift click and drag the ones I don't want. Here I'm gonna press Command E R, drag it in, delete, and we can even, you know what, we don't even have to close this because we're not, I don't think we're gonna, it's not gonna make much of a difference, so that's fine. Let's close it anyway. Shift right click, merge to center. Now we have a nice connection going all the way through. And let's fix the bottom of this also. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna paint this because I don't wanna drive you guys insane. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click here, face. So we can do this, check this out. We can come in. If you hold down B, right click and drag, you can size this. Let's say I want to pick those 4. I'm painting it. And then if I press shift period, boom, we can do that. So now I'm gonna press Command E R. I'm gonna drag this in. I'm gonna delete it. Edge, shift right click, collapse to the center, and I'm happy with that. I'm not gonna come. Oh, let me get out of here. Sorry guys. Object mode. I'm happy with that. That's fine. If I press 3, watch what happens. So we have a few things to clean up. You see, this is why I always press 3 to see how my geometry looks. I'm gonna press 1. I have to bevel this edge here. Double click, shift, right click, bevel edge. I'm gonna push it in and add some geometry there. And at the top, I'm gonna right click edge, bevel edge. I'm gonna shrink it as much as I can, and I'm gonna add 2 segments, object mode. Now, if I press 3, it's clean geometry. So I'm gonna press 1 because this is what I wanted. Press Command 1. Now we have to do our cleanup, guys, because we're already done with this. So edit, delete all by type history, edit, delete all by type non-deformer, modify freeze, modify center pivot, click off and Command S. We're done with this part, guys. Now the clock is simple. The clock we're gonna work into three pieces. We're gonna have the base, we're gonna have the glass, and then we're gonna have the plate where the design is gonna go, and then we're also gonna make the hands of the clock. So let's begin with the base. Okay guys, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna zoom out. We're gonna put this into our view here. We're gonna take the polygon cylinder, E, J, hold down J while I click and drag, so I want it there. And I want this to not, you see how it looks rugged? I don't want that. It looks like, you see, this is like the old video games with Tomb Raider. We don't want that no more. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bump that up to, let's say, 40. No, see, 40. And 40 is good, you see. We should add more because we don't want to see none at all. Here we go. So if you zoom in, it's very hard to see that it has. Let me see. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just being nitpicky here. This is better for me. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna guesstimate how thick this clock is because we don't know. The client didn't give you any more angles, but let's say it's about that wide. Let's give it a bit of width. Wow. So now you see that it has that black edge. That's a lip. So we're gonna do two things. We're gonna extract this all the way out till it touches the bottom of of the place that we put for the for the tool here. So let's see if it's touching. Let me see if I can get away with. Let me get in here, guys. Give me a minute. So let's go to about right there. Make sure it goes into the clock like it's welded in there. Let's see what happens. Yep, I'm happy with that. So now we're gonna do one thing. Back here, we're gonna give it a nice beveled edge because then we're not gonna touch that anymore. So let's give it a dash, shift right click, bevel that edge. And we're gonna add about 6. And we're gonna guesstimate again. Like I said, we're gonna guesstimate this. You know what, we should have done the same thing to the front, but I'm gonna show you why not. So I could have done the same thing to the front, but then I had to push this in and it's not what I wanted. What I want to do is I want to come to this view, face, select all the faces, shift click and drag the ones I don't want. Now here I'm going to press Command E and R. I'm going to push this to about here, right? And that's what I want around here. Now I'm going to press W, shift click and drag, and I'm going to go a little bit deep in here. Let's say halfway through. Just, and then we can move it later, but let's just say halfway through. So we're gonna need 2 pieces here, guys. So what we're gonna do with this is shift right click and we're gonna go to duplicate face, right click object mode, and we have one piece here, which is gonna be where we're gonna put the design. You know what, let's keep just this one piece where we're gonna put the design. I'm gonna push it in here because we're gonna extrude. Let's just do that now. Command E. Let's give it some thickness so it's not a flat piece of geometry. We're gonna push it out. Face. Let's click. Shift click. Shift click the ones we want to keep, and delete that back face that I'm not gonna use for anything. And then here, I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna select all the faces, shift click and drag the ones I don't want to mess with. I'm gonna press R, shift click and drag right around there. Mesh tool, insert an edge loop, and I want an edge loop close to this here. I have to reset the tool because it's at equal and I don't want that. I want it where I need it. So let's say this is good. If I press 3, it's fine. So object mode, Q, click this, W, push it inside. I think there is fine. Let's mess with the glass and see what happens. So the way we're gonna create the glass, let's bevel this lip first and then I'll show you how to make the glass. So we wanna bevel this lip equally on both sides because it's gonna be like a nice lip and we want it to be clean. So double click, shift double click, shift right click and bevel the edge, and we're gonna push that. Okay, I guess not. I guess it doesn't want to do that. Okay, we're gonna have to figure this out another way. So the reason it's doing that, it shouldn't be doing that. Let's do it separately. Edge, bevel edge. No, something is off here and I don't know what it is. Let me see if it's the depth. No, something is wrong. Let me see something here and press W. Okay, I don't know why it's doing that. It shouldn't be doing that, but let's try something else. Bevel the face. No, we're having a problem. Okay, so object mode. Let's see. This is why I like doing tutorials, because we can figure things out that are um, that can be done and things that can go wrong. So I'm gonna hold down B. Like I said earlier, you hold down B, right click and drag, and you adjust the size of what you're painting. And let's click on it. This face is selected. I don't like that. So I'm painting. I'm just dragging my brush. Okay, let's do something else. Let's go out. Let's delete this, and let's see where we're having a problem. Now, object mode. We're gonna click those edges. So switch to edge, and let's push them out to see if there's something extra. No, there's nothing extra. I'm gonna press Command E and then R to extrude it again to where we want it, which is about there. I'm gonna press W, shift click and drag and push in, and let's leave that here, and let's try that bevel edge again, see what we're gonna get. Edge, that fixed it. So whatever it was had to do with the way that face was. So here we go. We're gonna press bevel edge, and this is what we were trying to get in a few minutes ago. I'm gonna add some segments. So I'm gonna make it 3 on each side, and I'm gonna push that, let's say 4. And I'm gonna push that and make it a nice clean lip. We got a nice clean lip all the way around. Object mode. So we don't need to fill this in. This is fine. We can leave it like this. If in the future you want to add elements in there and cogs and anything, we can do this. So let's do that. We're gonna clean up again. Edit, delete by type history, delete by type non-deformer, modify freeze, modify center, and then Command or Control S. So we're almost there, guys. The next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna ungroup, edit, ungroup this part, press H on the face, and we're gonna clean up one more time because we have stuff here that we had hidden. Then delete by type history, edit, delete by type non-deformer, modify freeze, modifies and center pivot. Here we go. The most important of this thing is the way you set it up is exactly how it's gonna look when you export it to get a final look. So now since I want to work with the hands, I'll do the glass last because it's easy and I don't want to focus on that right now. I am gonna stretch this to go a little bit into the clock because we don't want anything to come through if we do lighting. For any reason you don't want anything to come through from the back, so let's do that. Let's select everything and press H. So now let's work on the hands. So for what I'm seeing, we're gonna have to set this up with this one in the back first, and then this one, and then this one on top. So let's do that. So for what I'm seeing, let's yeah. So let's do this with a plane. E, hold down J while I click and drag. And I'm gonna get rid of all those extra subdivisions. I'm gonna press W. You know what? Let's not do this. Yeah, we can still do this. I'll show you. I'll mess around with the circular eyes for you guys. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it right here. I'm gonna press R. I'm gonna push this here. I'm gonna press E. I'm gonna push this here. Remember, we're working on the one that has like the curve shape. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna leave that there. We're gonna okay. I'm trying to see how I can approach this without confusing you guys. So let's start this a different way. Let's start this with this. E, hold on J, rotate it. And this is gonna make more sense to you guys. You can still do it with the plane, but this will get you guys out of hot water for now. What I am going to do is I'm gonna delete the faces in the back and keep the one in the front. As you can see here, it's gray. I'm gonna delete that. Object mode. And now this is what we're going to use to drag out. So we see this here. We have two lines here that we're gonna push out. So we're gonna take edge, and we want this here. So 1, 2, W, shift click and drag it. Right? Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take vertex, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna circle all of those and rotate it because we want the geometry to be clean. Right? All the time, clean geometry. Now I want these flat. You see they're at an angle. There's a trick to this that Maya can help you out, and you're gonna love this. If you go to your modeling toolkit and you take the pivot, this is the pivot, right? And you put it to component and you press R, or let's say object. Okay, that's not working for me. Normally this would work for me where it says component, but here's the cool part. You can press edit pivot, and what you can do is you can say, okay, I want it to straighten out going in this direction, right? If I press R now, guys, boom, boom, and it's going in the direction that I want it to go. Cool, right, guys? So now let's take edge. Now see, it's going exactly where we want it to go without deviating. Straight out the park. That's what we wanted, guys. We're gonna add edge loops in here and stretch it out, but I just want to show you guys that Maya is cool. If you're ever done with that, let's say we're not gonna use this no more, or you go back to world and it goes back to the world. No harm done. So I'm happy with this here. Mesh tool, insert an edge loop. I'm gonna pop one in here where it ends. I'm gonna pop one at the widest points here, and here we go again in the angle that I needed, guys. Shift right click, I can bevel that edge. Now this is cool. We can do something like this. I can add more segments. And so what we can do is keep stretching it out. Keep stretching it out. Stretch it out. Here we go. One more time. And look at that, guys. As simple as that. We're gonna need a few more here. So mesh tool, insert edge loops. 1, 2, and 3. And keep it at edge and press R, and check this out. We're gonna get the shape that we want. And guys, you know, this is why I love Maya. And again, you guys are gonna keep hearing me say this, but I don't know how the company that got rid of me didn't see that I was looking out for their interest when I was saying that Maya is it's a time saver, because it is. Again, guys, if you look up Full Sail University, you'll see that it's one of the best schools in the world for what I do, computer animations. Again, I have a bachelor's degree in computer science and computer animations. So it's a pretty big deal what I've learned. Coming from one of the best schools. So here's what we have so far, guys. I'm happy with that. Let's leave that for now. Let's create the next one. So if we're smart, what we can do is we can take the same one, press W, shift click and drag it, move it to move it to the front. You still have another piece. I'm gonna hide the back one because I'm done with that one for now, and I'm gonna work with this. And what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna rotate it to where the other one is. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna select these two faces, shift period, 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 period. Every period you click increases the face count. And we're gonna delete those faces. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take those two edges and push it to here, right? So let's zoom in, edge, click, oops, Q, click, shift click, I'm gonna press W. And again, I'm gonna go to custom. It should saved it. Look at that. If it's not perfect, let's say you can click and drag in the direction that you want, that's fine. And it's still flat, what you gotta do is center it. If you press R, you're gonna get to squeeze it in, so it's still doing what it's supposed to. Mesh tool, insert edge loop. We want one here, and we want one here where that curve ends. Now if we press R, we want to flatten that, and that's not good for me now. You see, that's not good. So again, you can edit your pivot. You can just rotate it to that straight line that you want. Press enter, Q, I'm sorry, and press R, and it's a perfect straight line. And there's a perfect straight line, and now I'm gonna push it across. Right? I'm gonna insert another one here. Press R and push that in. I'm gonna do another one back here. You know what? I don't need it back here as much. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. Let's put it right around here and press R. I'm pretty happy. We're gonna add a few here and close that in. So this is the last one that we want. So we're gonna put 1, 2, 3. We're gonna start shrinking those to the width that we want. I'm gonna push that in a little more. Let's push this one in a little more. And Bob is your uncle. Boom. One more to go. With this one, we don't have to worry about because we can just take one of these and just stretch it out. We can do that later. Let's work on perfecting these. I'm gonna hide the second one. I'm gonna unhide the first one. So there's a trick to this. Remember how up top we had something that was squared and then round? Here we're gonna have to work with flat and then rounding the tip. So it's gonna be flat and then the tip seems to get round. So we're gonna do that. So before we do that, let me unhide everything. And we're gonna clean up before we do anything else, because we need everything clean and centered. So edit, delete by type history, edit, delete by type non-deformer, modify freeze, modify center pivot. Now, we're gonna hide everything that we don't wanna see for now, except those two hands. Let's hide this one too because we're gonna work on this one first. How do we approach this? We're gonna press F to focus in on this. And we're gonna click it, Command E, and we're gonna push it out a little bit, just a little bit. Object mode, right? So now we're halfway there already. All we have to do is just round this one off. How do we do that? So remember I told you guys that for you to get a circle, you have to have a certain amount of edges. So we're gonna add a few edges. Mesh tool, insert edge loop. and we're going to change this to 1, right? And we're going to add a few. 1, 2, 3, and we're good with that. Now what we're going to do is press Edge, Q, double click, and we're going to circularize that component. As simple as that, guys. We're going to do the same thing up at the top here, and I didn't do it because this is not going to select all the way around. These are done individually. And we're going to circularize those components again. How freaking cool is that, guys? In a matter of seconds, I've showed you guys how to get this done without going crazy, without, too much effort. It's just, get into the grain of things. Now what we can do is we can do one more thing. Let me try to bevel this edge, see if I can get it nice and round. No, you see this? Where you see, we have to watch your geometry all the time. We don't want that. You see how it's crunching in? We don't want that. So let's go back. What we are gonna do is we're gonna insert an edge loop. We're gonna reset it, and we're gonna insert one right here, right there. Now, if we take the edge, I think something's off. Is it off, or is it just me? Let me see something. Let me see if I can move these vertices and make this a bit cleaner. Edge. Or let me see if by doing this. Yep, that's what I needed to do. So what I did was I kind of, because then this side is the other way. So let me press E and rotate and see what I get. So you see, we can add a pivot, and you can do it again. You can come here, and then we can press E, and now if I rotate this, I should be able to get a nice rotation. Press W, move it over, and that should work out for me. Yeah, that should work out. Edge, so let me try something out here. Okay, this is not working out the way I want, but let me try something else. I'm gonna try sliding these edges down. Double click, slide edge. I'm gonna push it down. I'm gonna push that down a little more. I'm gonna push this down. And I think this might work for me. Let me push more. Let me slide it down my way. So something is not working for me here, so let's go back to the way it was. I think that's fine. Let me try to round that off a bit more. And I think that should work. I'm just, again, guys, I'm very nitpicky about how things look at the end. So let's try this one more time. And now I'm pretty happy. This is close enough to what I want. So here we're gonna have to add some supporting edges. You see? So this way we can come here to the side view, and what we can see is that this, for some reason, twisted. If we press E, we should be able to fix that and get a nice flow. So now we fixed that, and I'm happy with that even more. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Let me bevel that edge, see what I get. Q, shift right click, bevel edge. Let's see what we get. So let's push this here, make sure we have a flow. And then, so I'm trying to see. I'm gonna have to bevel it. I'm gonna have to bevel this edge here. I'm gonna have to add support here because we want things to flow smoothly. So what I mean is, if I press 3 and object mode, this is what we get, and I'm pretty happy with that. But I'm gonna have to add 2 side loops, 2 edge loops, to make sure that this is right. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna do 2 other things, and we should be done with this. Mesh tool, insert edge loop. We're gonna put one here, one here, one here. Now the one that goes in here, we're gonna do it a different way because we can't add insert edge loops this way. So what we are gonna do is we're gonna come in here, shift, right click face. We're gonna click those, command E, and then we're gonna offset that just a little bit. And we just, if we press 3 now, this is what we get. Now we can fix this a little more, so we can go to, if we press 1, we did this earlier, edge, we're gonna circularize, and then we can twist. We can twist this. We don't want too much twisting going on in our geometry. Circularize again. Shift click and drag the twist. We don't want twisting. What we are doing is spreading out those vertices to a circle where we want it to be a perfect circle. Twist. We want it to line up again. So we're gonna push it to about there. And here again. Let's see if we can circularize all of these at the same time. Let's see how the twist works. Yes, so we can do that. Let's twist this one independently. And let's see where else we have to apply this. Here and here should work. So circularize. We're gonna fix that twist. And I think I'm happy with this. Yeah, I mean, there's not much I can do now. This is fine for me. If I press 3, it's a nice clean geometry, so I'm not gonna complain about that. Command 1. Okay, we can add this one. Let's work on the next one. This one is pretty straightforward, so there's no going crazy. F. Where is he? Where are you? Command 1. Okay, I had command 1 on this one. Guys, another thing that I like about Maya that I do not like about 3ds Max is, like, for example, right now, if I hide something in one viewport, it doesn't hide it in all the viewports. I don't like that. So I can have a solid here, but you can see I have a see through here. I can have a ghost here. You know, anything is different in each viewport, and I like that because I want this solid, but I want to see through this one. I don't want a solid, and then just, you know, one viewport controls them all. I don't like that. So I'm gonna unhide the one that I had before because I want to push this one a bit on top of it since that one is done, but not too much. So let's say here, right? And I'm gonna press Command E, and I'm gonna push this out as almost as thick as the one that I had. So let's see how thick this is. Except here, we're gonna do something else because we don't want this separation, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna select these faces, shift click, deselect the ones I don't want, and I'm gonna press W, shift click, and drag backwards because this should go here. Let me see. Yeah, that should go there. Yep, that should go there. Because you can't, you know, it's just not gonna float in space. I want it to be here and make contact with this one because it's gonna roll right on top of it. Object mode, and now we're gonna do Command 1 on this one. As like I said, I can see everything else here, but here I want to work alone, and we're gonna do a few things. Insert edge loop. We want one here at the top, one there, one there. That's taken care of. We're gonna take two more. We're gonna go one here, make a nice square here. Next, we're gonna go edge, Q, double click, bevel this edge, shrink it, and add one in between so I can have that nice corner. And we're gonna tighten that up. We're done with that guy because we have that one, that square running all the way down. Now, let me see something. Let me press 3, see what I'm getting. That's fine. I'm not gonna complain about that. And then we're gonna double click, bevel that edge. We're gonna shrink it again. And we're gonna add one more. And we're gonna shrink it. Oh, not too much. And then now for the last part, no, not the last part. We have some work to do. So we're gonna make a nice separation here, like we did earlier in the other one. We want one here, and we want one here to support this back piece. Now we're gonna do again with the faces. So we're gonna go face. We're gonna click those, Command E. We're gonna offset it to give ourselves the support that we need. So that's about there. Yeah. So now if I press 3 on this one, we have supported loops all the way around. See that? So we're gonna press 1. Yeah, I'm happy with this. The only problem that I'm not seeing I don't like is, okay guys, if you have a problem like this, you can just connect those to the center and in the front. So what we do is we take the multi-cut tool, we click here, and we get a nice point all the way across. Press enter. Here, take that, push it here, press enter, and we have 2 more in the front. And that's because I didn't click and drag before I did, after I did the edge loop. So this is another workaround. Now what we can do is we can take edge, double click all these edges, and we can circularize this component, see what we get. I'm not happy with that at all. This is fine. So this will fix itself if we press Q and then we press mesh smooth. It'll work itself out. See, that works out by pressing smooth. So let's keep that. I'm happy with that smoothed out. I'm not gonna complain about that. Command 1. And let's be smarty pants and let's move this one out. Smooth. Let's see what we're looking like. Yeah. Very nice. See how clean that looks? This is what I mean about clean geometry. So we're done with that. We're gonna do some cleaning up. Command 1. I'm sorry, I'm gonna unhide everything else. Press H. And let's clean up. First, let's move these to where we do want them. Let's put world here, and let's push these to the front. And we want these close to the face because these are the ones that touch the face, and we can see that right here. You see the edge of that face running across. You're gonna push it right around there, and we're happy with that. We want to see something cool before I do the cleanup. Check this out. So you get to see what the shadows look like. In case you didn't see the difference, you get a nice shadow to see what that looks like. And if you want to see something even cooler, I think I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna do the glass and stop here, and then tomorrow I'll upload how to UV it and texture it completely. There will be a part 3 then. I mean, it's a little bit late. I am a bit tired. I'm gonna add the glass, and then I'm gonna show you some stuff, and then I'm done. So to do the glass, we're gonna take a sphere, a polygon sphere. And guys, this is very important. Never use the sphere this way. I know it looks perfectly round, but you're gonna have issues. What you're gonna do is, you're gonna come to your front view. You're gonna hold down J, click and rotate, right? And we're gonna make this as smooth as we can now before we do anything else. So let's make it 40, and let's make this 30. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna push this out. From the top view, we're gonna push it out. We're gonna scale it across, all the way across, right? It doesn't really matter, just more or less the size that we want, which is about there. We're gonna push this out more, and I'm gonna show you why. Because we have geometry here, and I don't want to touch it when I cut these faces. So I'm gonna select face. I'm gonna go right to the middle, or as close to the middle as possible, which is here. No, let's go a little more. This is more for me. Delete object mode. Now you see where the arrow is. We want that right there. We want the pivot there. Why? Because when I press R now and I push this in, it's gonna go right to the glass. Right? Let's say that this is what I'm happy with, and I'm gonna push that in. Now that it's where I want it to be, I'm gonna push it in here, and we have our clock. Boom. Now we can smooth it out, mesh smooth, so we can get a cleaner mesh smooth. If you just want to see how it looks, and you want to just get a glass look, what we can do is we can come to the attribute editor. You see all this stuff? This is why we clean our geometry. And I'm gonna put transparency, object mode, and you can see through it. Let me get rid of this here. Let's add more transparency. Oops. Okay, the reason it's not working, guys, I'm sorry, I forgot to say this. So because all of this is one Lambert, let me clean this up. I'll show you what I mean. Edit, delete by type history, non-deformer, freeze, center. The reason why it looked funky is because this is all Lambert 1. You see, Lambert 1. If I assign a new material and I call it Fang, and it's a different material, now when I add the transparency to this, the other one does not get affected. because it's a separate material, right? And this is what I mean. We still see the glass, but everything else is solid. You see? Now, even if I make this a bit sharper, you see it's nice and clean. So let's go back. Let's leave it the way it was because we're gonna do material tomorrow. So we're gonna clean it up one more time. I'm gonna save it here, and tomorrow I'll continue the process of UVing, and then I'll show you the rest of the tricks like I promised. So let's clean this up one more time. History, non-deformer, freeze, center, Command S. And if you're ever annoyed by this, all you have to do is click here on the grid, because it does become annoying at times because it's just floating there. But how about that, guys? We've gotten done so far most of the work. Tomorrow we have to do one more piece and then UV. All right. So guys, thanks for sticking with me through part 2. Tomorrow will be part 3 and final. I hope you find this entertaining. I hope you like the way I work. And take care of yourselves. Good night.